right, guys. This is Thai Zen again. We're broadcasting from the, let me see here. I forgot what the name of the restaurant that we're broadcasting from is. It's the Havana Central Restaurant and Bar. It's a Cuban restaurant. They got some really good food here. But this is an investing channel, so we're not here to review food.
Oh,
we're here to talk about how to make money. Okay, so with me today, I got my buddy David Fong, right? He's the one that builds all the tools and the software for us on our channel to help us manage our portfolios and help us trade better and manage risk better. And then we got with us here a very unique and special individual, okay? And we're not talking about the special kids that ride the short half yellow bus either, okay? We're talking about 15 Cent Joe here, okay? Now, say hello to our audience, Mr. 15 Cent Joe.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, so Joe here, the reason why I'm calling him 15 Cent Joe is because I've met cryptocurrency investors who bought Bitcoins when, right now as we're talking, it's about $4,400. And I've met people, and David has met people that got into Bitcoins at 4,000, at 3,000, at 1,000, at 500, at 100. But Joe is actually the first person that I've met that actually got into Bitcoin when it was only 15 cents. 15 cents.
It fluctuated a lot, but you know,
yeah.
Way before the dollar phase.
Yeah, okay.
We'll put it that way.
And he was actually mining Bitcoins with his computer, multiple computers, probably like 5 minutes after Satoshi released the white paper.
It was quite a while later. It was CPU at first.
Yeah.
It was CPU at first, and then it switched over to GPU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why I have Joe on today, guys, is because he made some mistakes when he first got into Bitcoin.
A lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and I want him to share his mistakes with you guys so we can all learn from it. Right. So talk about first how you even heard about Bitcoins or found out about it. Because you didn't get into it because of money.
No, not at all. In fact, I was shopping for a new computer.
Yeah.
And I was on a forum reading a review on a new CPU, and someone said, this mines Bitcoins really fast. And somebody else said, what does that mean? And the guy goes, I don't know, but some people buy them on these forums online. And so, you know, I bought a faster processor than I needed because I think I'll get paid back. And so I, of course, thought this was a fascinating idea that I could like subsidize.
That you could mine Bitcoins with it and then pay for the cost of the computer.
Pay for the cost of the computer.
Okay.
And at the time, you know, you can mine a lot of Bitcoins.
Okay. What year was this? Like 2011, 2010?
I think it was like 2010, maybe a little earlier than that.
Because the Satoshi released the white paper, the Bitcoin white paper, at the end of 2008, and then January 2009 is when he started mining it. So you got into it then, and then
it was a bit after that, but it went for a long time.
Yeah.
Basically under the radar.
So I'm just curious, right? When you started mining with your computer, like how many Bitcoins were you getting a day?
Several a day.
Like 3, 4, 5
a day per CPU. Well, you had to use mining pools.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of it depended on, you know, what the CPU was, how fast it was. Mm-hmm. But there was almost no arms race back then, like started happening, you know, several years ago. And so you would all join up on mining pools, but all the mining pools had to make sure none of them had more than 51% of the hash.
Yeah.
And so, like, they had these websites that would track how big the pools were. And whenever a pool would start to get in the 40s,
oh wow,
people would jump to a different pool to kind of maintain equilibrium so no one would accidentally fork Bitcoin. So this all happened years ago, and people don't have any recollection that these things were happening.
Yeah. The last time I remember that happening was with ghash.io.
I remember that, yep.
Yeah. And they started getting like around 50%, and then the miners started migrating away from it to reduce the percentage there. Now, what was your background at that time when you were doing all this? I mean, you must have a computer background or something.
I was just working a 9-to-5 at the time.
Yeah.
I think I was working in what they would call a green collar job.
Yeah.
Trying to like salvage, like architectural salvage kind of thing, and so.
Did you keep those? Because you said you had like several hundred bitcoins, but then your family got sick or something like that.
I sold everything when Bitcoin hit like $7.15. So
okay.
I mean,
was that to pay bills?
I didn't have thousands because I was selling them as I was mining them.
Yeah.
Because I was doing it to pay for computer hardware, but I just kept reinvesting it into more computer hardware. So I was never actually saving any. I was in the arms race.
Yeah.
And every time the value would go up a little bit, I would feel emboldened, and so I'd buy a little more hardware. And then the biggest mistake ever was investing a bunch of money into Script ASICs. I mean, not Script ASICs, but SHA ASICs, many months before they actually shipped them. And so, I bought a bunch of Butterfly Labs hardware by selling Bitcoin to buy the hardware. And it was a lot of Bitcoins to buy these little miners.
Yeah.
And then the difficulty went up, orders of magnitude by the time, because, as an end user, we were receiving the very first consumer grade ASICs right about the same time giant, farms were going online.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I exited mining many years ago.
So the lesson here, because we get clients all the time that ask us if mining is profitable, and we tell them it's not. So
I know virtually nothing about the economics of it now.
Yeah.
I do believe that many of the people that are getting into mining now, you basically have to do it at an industrial scale.
Yeah.
And it's my opinion is a lot of the investment is predicated on the belief the valuations will go up 2 or 3 more times.
Okay.
And you could probably, if you knew that BTC was going to go to $20,000 in the next 2 years, or you believed it, you'd be much more likely to invest in a bunch of proprietary hardware.
Okay.
But right about when crypto switched over to FPGAs and ASICs is when I exited the mining game, because I don't have the aptitude or the capital to compete.
But did you still invest in like other altcoins and stuff?
I just basically became someone who kept an eye on the space and just tried to selectively invest in projects that I thought made sense, which was difficult to know. You had like 3 different places only. You had to go to BTC Talk, and that was it. Yeah. There was nowhere else to go.
So if you're an early investor since 2010, and I know you would say that you were just investing to buy computer hardware, not to become.
I didn't have the epiphany of what blockchain could actually do. Okay. I didn't get that until much later, after I'd been exposed to it for a while.
Okay, so you started back in early 2010, so somewhere in 2010.
Somewhere, yeah.
And then what happened? Did you keep going in 2011, 2012?
I just got more interested because I was always selling whatever I was mining, and so I was never really keeping any, and the valuations were not really going up. But I became more interested, and I started reading about more projects, and this is right when this kind of mushroom effect of all these like new currencies. Peercoin shows up, Litecoin shows up.
Yeah.
Namecoin.
And what did you think about all that? Because I entered the markets like right after all that came out.
It's really hard to describe, because initially everyone was just trying to copy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just anyone just. And then there was the altcoin generator website, where you could actually input all the stats you want, and it would just send you the Genesis block script to run. And the website probably still exists. It became a joke because so many people were cloning Bitcoin, changing almost nothing, and then launching it as some new token. So it kind of became a joke, and it actually caused me to become very cynical when
there were so many coming out.
When so many were coming out, and then larger legitimate projects started showing up, and it was very difficult to differentiate from them. So when Aetherium came out, I wasn't even interested in mining it or investing in it or anything. I was like, oh, it's another one, And so I was already jaded, but for a lot of people, it seems that like, I'm going to call it the third tier of projects. I would call Aetherium like a third tier project. That was the entry point for so many people, and I feel that those people are like, you know what Aetherium did, that kind of like balloon effect. I think those are the people that were like pivotal in the springboard forward that's happening now.
Yeah, definitely. That was like one of the big leaps forward for our entire team.
Yep.
You know, was when Aetherium came out, and it really like helped quantum leap. I mean, we made good money from Bitcoin before then, but that really quantum leaped us forward to be able to like diversify our resources a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So, would you say you got kind of jaded back then?
Absolutely.
Everyone
was.
Did you stop investing in cryptocurrencies, or
you know, you definitely would go through. You know,
like you completely out zero cryptos, or
no? Like it's. I never started because I had sold everything I had mined.
Yeah.
You know, up until that point, either to live on or due to you know whatever crisis happens. You know, I never had a tremendous amount of capital, so when the larger projects started showing up, like Aetherium, you know, I was skeptical of it, but I still thought I would invest in it, but I didn't have much, and so, but you kind of went through a lot of people went through these phases where you would have this like crypto burnout. You just, you make enough money that you want to quit your day job, so you just stare at charts for 16 hours a day, and at the end of the month, you're like, like I made $500 here, I lost 1,000 there, I made 3,000 here, I lost 50 there, and you're like, man, this is just not good. You know, those were some dog days back then.
Yeah.
And you know, now as the world is beginning to like understand, it seems like there's a lot of larger investment coming into the space because blockchain can solve a lot of problems.
So now you are back into the swing of things. Well, when did you get back in the full swing into it now?
I would say that I probably got into the full swing when I saw the value proposition that the particle developers were showing up with, because you know the backdrop of me being a hobbyist and then like an activist, blockchain proponent. Was that I was doing online sales through eBay, Amazon, and multiple other, and also private websites.
Oh, so basically you were an online vendor.
Yep.
And you saw that this thing coming out about the private marketplace.
Yep.
That created by the particle cryptocurrency project.
Yep.
And so that got your interest to step back into the cryptocurrency scene.
I had been participating in several projects up to the time, and there were actually a few projects that were talking about doing things like trading posts or marketplaces, that kind of thing. However, I felt that what Particle was attempting to do solved my problems outside of crypto as an online seller, but then also appealed to my desire to see some of the positive change I think the blockchain can bring.
Okay.
And
so what would you say is your, do you have like a top 3 favorite cryptos that you like, that you'd like to share with our audience besides Particle?
I've always been a fan of VTC, of Vertcoin, just because I like the idea of trying to keep
Vert, as in vertical,
yeah,
like
vertical.
Vert.
Yep.
Okay, Vertcoin.
I've always appreciated projects that had a very simple and narrow vision, and so
not trying to do too many things.
Nope. The whole objective was, script and SHA mining became industrial.
Yeah.
And so the idea was to achieve a broader acceptance inside of the entire community. More people as individuals need to be engaged. And so there became this almost algorithm war between all these different hashing algorithms, trying to all figure out how to strike a balance to try to keep the most people engaged. And so you had like X11, you had script N.
Okay, so besides Particle and Vertcoin, what else? What's the third one that you really like?
Oh gosh. I've got my.
Am I putting you on the spot?
Oh well, I've never thought about it this way, but
because that's what people always want to know. Hey, what's your favorite coin? What's your favorite? What's in your portfolio?
I'm obviously very strong on particle.
We tell everybody that whatever we talk about, just assume that we're investing in it. Why else would we talk about it?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in. I'm interested to see what EOS does. EOS.
We like that project too, but the valuation is just so high that it's
so high. I agree.
Yeah, like 200 and something million. I mean, like that's
it was a pretty brilliant execution on trying to secure a pile of funding and then protect it by locking in consistent funding.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's the kind of valuation that could produce technology that changes a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
But the valuation is very high.
I did not invest into it, simply because at this moment, I have not invested into it simply because in the real world, man, like if you have a product or a service and you go to a venture capital firm, they're not going to give you $200 million. They're going to give you like $500,000, $1 million, and go build a prototype, and let's see if it works first before we pour more money into it. There's no venture capital firm out there that's going to give you $200 million.
No, not at all.
And even if I'm wrong on it,
I'm interested in to see what happens with SALT, S-A-L-T.
The SALT lending.
What happens, SALT lending.
Yeah.
Anytime a project makes any attempt at a real world adoption, specifically flexing some of the strengths of cryptocurrency as a unit of value, and or just takes advantage of like the checkpointing and the security that it provides. I always get really excited about it, but it's hard for me to keep up. It's very difficult.
Do you have any lessons that you want to share with some of the new investors that are coming into cryptocurrency in 2017 now?
Well,
or any newcomers at all, regardless of when they come in?
I have a lot to say. Take it from somebody that has participated in a lot of different projects and has, at some point or another, held a lot of tokens from various projects, almost all of which didn't really hit their stride until long after I needed to have, I needed to sell them to pay bills or whatever. It's one of those things where by not understanding the art of investing properly, I have absolutely sabotaged myself probably a dozen times. And so, I've had people give me advice of always sell a little but never sell all. I've heard that.
Yeah, that's what we do not recommend selling all.
That's a pretty, I think that's pretty good advice. But what I've also noticed though is that lots of small teams, they go all in on something. It's because they're consumed by it. I've participated in this as well. And then what happens is that because everyone's investors are holders and not,
they get emotionally attached to it.
They get emotionally attached, and what happens is that sometimes it actually does a disservice to the project itself. Mm-hmm. And so if you're very supportive of a project and you refuse to ever sell any, this means you have no other assets to support it with. And so what happens is that you'll become overextended on a single asset. You'll have no fiat or Bitcoin in reserve.
Yeah, just like a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists out there right now.
Yeah.
They only believe in Bitcoin.
I mean, I understand it up to a point because it's just been performing so well.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to, just because it has a lot of inertia behind it. But you're going to get overextended, and then what'll happen is, so let's use Bitcoin for example. If you have nothing but Bitcoin and no fiat, if Bitcoin goes to 1/3 its value today, you should be buying it.
Yeah.
But you can't because you're 100% in. And so, I don't know if I can follow this advice on my own because I seem to be emotionally attached, but
just sell a little bit next time and not all of it.
Just a little, but not all of it. But
I understand. I've been in situations before where I needed the money, to pay bills and stuff.
Exactly.
So I was forced to have to liquidate my positions and sell more than what I wanted to. If I had to go back in history, I'd probably hold my ethers a little bit longer.
Yep.
So
it's one of those things where I think that new people coming into it have like I don't think they should feel defeated or like they've missed anything. Like people coming in 2017, 2018 Q1, you haven't missed anything.
Yeah.
Because I view the majority of what the blockchain space is going to bring hasn't even been thought of yet or theorized yet. And I think it's going to just continue amplifying. And
yeah, we're still early. Like right now, the market cap is like 45 billion as we're speaking.
Yeah.
And our team has a firm belief that it's going to over $1 trillion. So that's about 9x from here.
I literally don't know how that's not inevitable.
Yeah.
At this point, just because all it's going to take is the first 1 or 2 true killer applications that have like broad global applicable appeal. It could be something as simple as like I don't know, it could be anything.
I think it can be something as simple as just a cryptocurrency that actually works.
There you go.
That simple. It works as an electronic cash like it was meant to be, something that simple, and privacy.
Yep.
Something that simple, I believe, can take off into billions.
If enough people accept it, enough people will spend it, then yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, appreciate you coming on, down here to, and meeting up with us here in New York City. And they just cut out the lights, so they're like unconsciously giving us a signal that it's time to go, So let's wrap it up here. If you guys like these type of videos and interviews that we do with people that are in the game, not just people that just talk about it, but people that are actually in the heat of the battle, in the fields, in the trenches, and you want to learn from them, subscribe to us at www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter, and we'll get you more videos like this. And then until then, we'll see you guys in the next video. So thanks, guys, for joining me today.